Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Let Her Cook on BSCN. I'm Jackie Dutton, and today we're going to go over some prediction markets and some call sheet bets, as well as some top crypto news kind of at the end, just for some headlines and to kind of gloss over some topics. So first, we're going to go to call sheet because that is absolutely our favorite place. And we are going to go through the trending topics for today. So this one is actually connected to one that pops up a little later as well. There's how long will the government shutdown last? Supposedly, the Senate has actually come to an agreement to finally negotiate and end the shutdown. I think Congress also has to agree, but I think, I think we say this every week, and we really hope that it ends every week. But I think this week, especially with a bet that comes up later and a topic that comes up in a minute, I think within this week, we really start to see things finally wrapping up. The elections are over. That happened last week. I think the Democrats got everything that they wanted out of that. And there really isn't a whole lot more here to play with at this point. You're just kind of screwing over people who aren't receiving a paycheck, government workers, essential workers who are still showing up despite not being paid. And I think it's just high time this finally comes to an end. They're not making a point at this point. They're just being a fucking asshole. So this should wrap up soon. And this week would be a great time for them to do it. Let's see. When will Adelita Gravala be sworn in? So again, the government has to come back to work in order for this to happen. Who will President Trump pardon this year? This is the bet I was referring to. Will controller shortages shut down an air traffic facility in November? So the odds are actually decent on this. I mean, you have near half odds. But if the shutdown ends abruptly, then all of these people get paid and they go back to work. So the odds of this actually being a no are pretty high. I think that's actually kind of fair. So let's see the rules. If the Department of Transportation or the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, announces that it is unable to provide air traffic control services at a named facility due to controller staffing shortages before December 1st, then the market resolves to yes. So, I just think this is a no, but I think you have some opportunity here to pick up some extra money, by it resolving to an absolute yes. The comments here, no FUD, just whales cashing out. It just has to be announced and not followed through. If these are actually the rules, then I think it's possible that it could be announced, that being a last straw of sorts. So in my opinion, this FAA shortages, the fact that they're canceling flights and we are approaching holiday season, this is absolutely what's going to piss off Americans. The fact that they plan their travel, whether or not they work for the government, they want to go somewhere. And you're telling me now that you have now canceled people's travel plans that they paid for, took vacation time, lived their, civilian life. And now it's being affected by this bullshit. They're going to get mad. And I think when people start to get angry and chatty, that is when I think the bubbles start to boil over in this pot. And finally, we start to see kind of something get resolved here. So in my opinion, the FAA shortages and then the cancellation flights is really what's finally going to drive the end of this shutdown. Hopefully. Okay, so then let's see. Will the Supreme Court rule in favor of Trump's tariffs? They did just rule to keep gay marriage, which was obviously, I don't know if Trump actually had a stance on that one way or another, but certain people in the Republican Party certainly did. And what is considered a conservative Supreme Court actually made a fairly not conservative ruling. So with this, though, with the tariffs, I don't know. It might be worth throwing a little money at the yes column. And which party will win the US House next year? Unfortunately, right now, yeah, this is this is not looking good for the GOP. Despite the fact that obviously it has been Democrats holding out for the things that they want, and that has started the shutdown. It's the administration that's in power that's really got the target on their back, and consequently, you had the midterms just now, and the Democrats again. They picked up every voted seat that they wanted with it, and consequently, I just think that when it comes to which party will win the House next year, unless you have a bunch of other states do the same thing that Texas did, right? And what California is trying to do with Prop 50, where they're trying to redistrict everything to secure a certain number of seats. I know North Carolina, I believe, just redid that, and they picked up a red seat. I think they wiped out a particular blue seat when they redistrict their state. Texas has done it. I believe it eliminates Jasmine Crockett's seat. And I know that several other red states are looking to follow suit. So if those start happening, and within the next year, if they go down and systematically knock that down one by one, I believe that I think it puts an automatic majority for the House in the Republican Party's favor. But currently, with the way shit is going, I think people are just starting to get impatient and upset, obviously, and Democrats typically perform very well when it comes to midterm things. And I'm just not sure if people who have voted for the Trump administration are really that enthused and really that excited to get up and get out and vote. Whereas the Democratic Party, if you're going to give them something, it's that they will show up and they will hammer it home for their favorite people there. As we saw last week when they got it done for Mamdani. All right, so let's move on to some other bets that I have picked up here. So I'm going to move this one to the end here because we're going to talk about some crypto things first. All right, so these two are kind of connected here. Which cryptocurrencies will have a positive return this year? The top contender here is Bitcoin, then Litecoin, and then Ethereum. So all of these are in the red, or all of these, excuse me. Thank God it's not that kind of a year. All of these are in the green. And they've all had a positive, almost all of these have had a positive year. I don't think Shiba Inu has. It's rough out there for a meme coin. Okay. And then here's the second one. Which of these cryptocurrencies will perform best this year? So here's what I am not completely understanding about this bet. And we're going to go to the comments to see if I can get a little clarification. So Bitcoin currently has the top chance of 41%, followed by Ripple. But here's the actual issue here. If you go to Bitcoin and you go to the 1-year chart, it's up 32% for the year. But if you go to Ripple and you go to the 1-year chart, it's up over 300% for the year. So the math that it gets broken down here in the rules summary is that the return will be calculated as last price in minus the first price in divided by the first price in. So when I did this calculation for Bitcoin, if it stood today, just to see, today's price is around $105,000. January, or 1 year ago, was $76,000. So the number, divided by whatever, it works out to 0.3. But when I did this with the Ripple price of, let's say we did $2.53, subtract, 0.55 cents, and then you have divided by 55 cents, it worked out to 3 point something or other. So unless I am misunderstanding here, Ripple is absolutely going to be the winner of this bet. I just don't, unless all of a sudden something absolutely crazy happens with Bitcoin, I think Ripple is the one that has this. I mean, I'd love to see Bitcoin rip 300% for the year. But also, I think we do have to keep in mind that when you consider this price, you're going to have to consider the price on New Year's Eve of last year, and then whatever the price will be on New Year's this year. So let's see, it was $2. And okay, so when we factor in this price, this is what actually makes a little more sense. But you then have to gamble on the fact that Bitcoin, whose price was, let's see, it was 93,000. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Okay. Man, well, first of all, we know it's not Ethereum. Let's just start there. And it's probably not Litecoin, because these returns for the year are sitting at around like 10%. But absolutely, these two, I'm surprised the price actually isn't higher here, the percentage chance. Let's go to the comments if there are any. Nope. What is the volume? There's only $110,000 of volume on this bet at all. I don't know. I think this one would be worth throwing some money at. I saw somebody post something about how Trump was talking about issuing a $2,000 stimulus check again, or a dividend due to tariffs, to all tax-paying American citizens. And somebody said that you could go on the prediction market, bet $2,000 on no, and then if he actually ends up doing it and paying everybody out, it's a break-even trade, because you still receive $2,000 if he does, and then if he doesn't, you're actually doubling your money. So there's a way to game the system. But this is an interesting bet, I think, worth talking about here. Let's go to which cryptocurrencies will have positive return this year. Bitcoin's positive return of 75% is no longer a lock. All you degens betting yes, you will end up getting liquidated these upcoming weeks of Bitcoin. So again, we have to go to this December 31st price, which is $93,000. I mean, we just saw 94, right? Let's see. That was last week. We just saw, I mean, it crept down there, guys. So this is something to keep in mind. I did see another post on Instagram that I cannot pull up right now about how the last time a government shutdown ended, I think Bitcoin pumped like 5-fold. So it could just be great news if the government finally gets their shit together and packs everything up, and then Bitcoin absolutely sends, because everybody goes back to work and everybody's happy and making money. And I hope that happens. And I know you do too. Let's talk about some fun health gambles here. Will there be a new COVID variant of concern reported this year? Bitch, yes, there kind of always is. So this is overtaking the discussion of the flu, I feel like. There's not that much volume on this, 175,000, and there's some comments here. So there is a new COVID variant this year already, and there's always a new COVID variant that comes out every year. This is how viruses work. They evolve. That's how they, stay a virus, because they keep competing with people's biological and immune systems, and, that's how they keep working to take people down. So will there be a new variant? Yes. Of concern, this is the phrase that I'm really not understanding here. It just says, if the CDC has identified a new variant of concern. I mean, will it be like 2020's variant? No. But there are people who feel that COVID is concerning when it was just kind of more of a cold. And they'll still tell people, to wear a mask or stay inside, or not go see your relatives for Christmas, but still hold dinners at the French Laundry, Gavin Newsom. All right. Over the weekend, if you were paying attention to really dumb social media news, Kim Kardashian announced that she failed the California bar exam. She has been on a quest to become a lawyer for the last several years. She took this kind of untraditional path that you can take in the state of California, where you take something called the baby bar, and you can essentially homeschool your law school experience this way. And then you sit for the baby bar. And supposedly, that test is harder than the actual bar exam. There are so many people who say that the baby bar is actually a lot harder to pass. She passed that one. And then apparently she did not pass the actual bar exam that she took, I think, several months ago. But will she pass the bar exam before 2027? So she has a year and 2 months left to do this. I think she can. I think you can only take it once a year. I don't think you can take it multiple times a year. Um, But honestly, I mean, this chick is pretty determined and she's already taken it once before, and it's probably a yes. But you have to keep in mind that you are not going to see any outcome of your money for probably at least another year on this. So if it's worth, if you want to, lock your money up in some kind of escrow working on this, then you know I think it would be worth putting a little faith in her. I do think she can get this done, but you're going to wait a while on this one. There would be some other things like this next one that I think are worth talking about. Kind of crypto related. Will CZ, or Changpeng Zhao from Binance, sue Elizabeth Warren this year? So he's already, I think, kicked this can around, because if you haven't been paying attention to some crypto news, Elizabeth Warren issued some very shitty and factually incorrect, per usual, tweet that Trump pardoned CZ, and she said that he pleaded guilty to money laundering. I've talked about this several times. CZ did not plead guilty to money laundering. And now, because this is written on her Twitter account, she didn't take it down despite the fact that she was community noted. Now, apparently, CZ and his team is kicking around the idea of suing her for defamation or slander or libel. I think when it comes to cases like this, in order to win, you have to prove that there was some kind of like monetary value, some type of major hit to your reputation that was incurred because somebody said something like this. So I don't think CZ takes a trade or a lawsuit that he doesn't feel he can win. And you, unfortunately, as a public figure, you don't win legal cases left and right just because somebody says something factually incorrect about you. So despite the fact that on a truth versus lie basis, is he in the right and would he win just a straight up she lied kind of case? Yes. But that's not really how defamation works, unfortunately. And I honestly don't know if they could legally prove that, in a monetary sense, her and her stupid ass comments, because she makes them all the time and nobody really takes her seriously or believes her. I don't think that her comments had any, actually defamatory and monetarily damaging outcome on CZ's business practices. So, despite the fact that I would love to see him do this, just to have her finally sit down and be quiet about something and have somebody finally teach her a lesson for just saying things that are not correct, I don't think it's going to happen. And he's probably not going to sue her, even though she would deserve it. She would deserve it all day. And I wish he'd spend the money just to make a point and just to, occupy a little bit of her time. I don't think it's going to happen. Sadly. I wish it did, though. Okay, so let's pull up a couple crypto news topics. I'm actually going to go to my X account because they save some things for you guys here. Let's see, my bookmarks. I was actually kind of surprised to not see this become a Kalshi bet or a poly market bet because the Olympics finally banned trans women from all female events. I'm shocked no one made this a prediction market. Um, Apparently, the International Olympic Committee is likely to announce a new policy earlier in the new year. So you could potentially still make this a bet if you want to actually, kick one up on Kalshi about whether or not this happens. This isn't for sure, but I guess this is on the way. So, if you're into making your own luck, if you will, SBF finally tweeted last night or a couple nights ago, it looks like. They go back and forth with this issue about how SBF tries to claim that FTX was absolutely solvent and it was just a complete mismanagement of a bunch of funds, but they had them, and that he shouldn't be in jail because apparently FTX had all of the money that they said that they did. What he is referencing, though, is the fact that I'm going to change this because this guy was flipping the camera off. What he's actually referencing, though, was that Anthropic, which was managed by Caroline, whatever the hell her last name was, Caroline and SBF, which they were seeing each other at the time. Apparently, Caroline was using Anthropic to invest in various, organizations or whatever. And one of the things they invested in, or several of them, were AI companies, tech. He called it like venture philanthropy or some other bullshit word where he was trying to say that he was like using all of this money to do good. His claims about the fact that they invested, their money or other people's money or whatever in all of these other companies, by the time things started to, the chickens started to come home to roost, these investments had actually done pretty well, some of them, and consequently, on paper, if you considered those things, they were solvent. But it didn't change the fact that I think they were still leverage trading and gambling with other people's customer funds. And they, when there was a big giant bank run, essentially, people weren't able to access their funds. And that is still an absolute no-no in the world, even in crypto. So consequently, I think he's sitting right where he deserves to be. Also, he's sitting right where he deserves to be for just continuing to commit to the bit of looking so terrible on a regular basis. And Hayden Davis, this is another one I wanted to talk about. Hayden Davis is reportedly the person who helped start the Melania meme coin. He also has a very odd and kind of shady history with other meme coins and being very well connected to even other world leaders. So he supposedly was in contact with Javier Milei's sister, and Javier Milei, I think, is the prime minister or the president of Argentina, and he ended up helping with the Libra launch, and Javier Milei ended up tweeting about it and then had to answer to his own government about whether or not it was a pump and dump, a rug, because the price shot up. Money was evacuated the second that happened because other people were able to get a hold of like an early allocation of it. And very few people actually made any money if it, when it came to the Libra meme coin. So it says Hayden Davis is hit with an asset freeze as the Libra investigation deepens in Argentina. An Argentinian judge has ordered the freezing of property and financial assets belonging to Hayden Davis and two other cryptocurrency intermediaries tied to the Libra token. The order was made in response to a report written up by the Secretary of Financial Investigation and Recovery of Illicit Assets and General Directorate for Asset Recovery, Confiscation of Goods. So they pushed for the order after they found these assets might make up some of the proceeds from the $100 million obtained, so stolen, from people who bought the Libra meme coin. We have to stop platforming shit like this. And I think Libra was interesting because it kind of came on the heels of the Trump meme coin, and then Melania got launched like 4 days later, and then this showed up a few weeks later. And we've just got to stop, participating in this kind of shit. Was it the official meme coin of the Argentinian government? No, it never is. It never is. I don't know any major country on earth that's going to be like, yeah, we'd like to start our citizens' foray into crypto with a meme coin. No. Do you want to know how they'll start it? With a CBDC, so they can track you and all of your bullshit and everything about you. And if they don't like something you're doing or saying, they will then shut you out of your own money. Be careful, because that's what's on the way. So when a government starts getting into, oh yeah, let's try crypto, get worried. Don't be excited. It's not a meme coin pump. And let's see. Just because we talk about prediction markets here, I just wanted to bring this up here. A Columbia University study found that up to 60% of Polymarket's trading volume may come from wash trading, raising concerns about artificial activity in prediction markets. This is one of the first things to come out of Columbia in a while that, might be worth betting on, maybe. Let's go to the article. Polymarket rife with artificial trading. Most of crypto is. I'm pretty sure. When you look at the volume on a lot of things, like, let's be real. There's no way. There's no way. Go to remember Aster's volume for a while? That wasn't legit. Couldn't have been. So the fact that they have finally figured this out, I mean, I don't have an $80,000 a year degree, and I could tell you that this was happening. Let's see. The rapid growth of the prediction market platform Polymarket may not be entirely organic. Let's see. The researchers identified extensive wash trading activity on Polymarket beginning in July of 2024, and it accounted for nearly 60% of the platform's total trading volume. And 25% of Polymarket's total trading volume over the past 3 years was attributable to artificial trading. Yeah, but do you think Polymarket's actually going to acknowledge this? I'm hopeful that Polymarket will welcome the analysis in our paper. No, that's like me finally confirming like how much makeup I'm actually wearing. Why would I tell you? No, they're not going to do that. Or Kim Kardashian confirming how much plastic surgery she's had. Why would she tell you? She's not going to, okay? All right. We are going to end this, I think, right on time today. Thank you so much. It's actually kind of a fun green day today. It looks like everything is up for the most part across the board, except for Ton. Look at that. Sad. All right. I am Jackie Dutton. This is Let Her Cook, brought to you by BSCN. We are live every Monday and Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And on Wednesdays, I actually cook a meal. And it's soup season. It's freezing outside. So this week, I believe I'm making lasagna soup. We did get a request for chili and cornbread, but I saw that after I grocery shopped, so we can do that next week. But this week will be lasagna soup. It is so warm and comfy and just the best comfort food. So I'm really excited to make that on Wednesday. I am hungry already just thinking about it. So if you guys want to stop by, hang out, chat, we would love to see you. If you like this episode, make sure you hit the share button and follow, subscribe, come hang out, leave a comment. Let me know what you think, and let me know what your favorite bet is today and what you'd put money on or what you wouldn't. I'm Jackie Dutton, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Bye.